Former president found in contempt of court for violating a gag order, another history-making moment in a New York City trial.
Joining us to talk about it is former Massachusetts Attorney General Martha Coakley. She's now of counsel for Foley Hoag. Martha, good to see you. Thanks for your time.
Hi, Ben and Erica.
All right, so Judge Juan Merchan took his time before making the ruling, but today he fined Donald Trump $9,000, threatening jail time if he continues to attack witnesses and jurors. Now, some might say $9,000. It was $1,000 per occurrence. There were 9 occurrences, but that's like you or I being fined $9. He is a billionaire after all. So what's your impression?
Maybe more like 9 cents, but it still says he's trying to keep control. He's trying to keep order. He's trying to send a message, and he made it clear that he still has the option if he needs to, as this escalates, if it does, to put the defendant in jail. And I think he's sort of, had some deterrent effect, because it seems like defendant Trump has been a little quieter, a little bit more under control. So he's taking these interim steps. I think it's a wise move on his part.
Okay, so the judge also warned Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels about making public statements about Donald Trump. Do you think the judge has everyone's attention now? You mentioned you think maybe the message is getting through to the former president. How important is that moving forward?
It's pretty important. And I think he even said if they violated that, they might not have protection of the gag order. So he's setting the rules for everybody. And he's really saying, look, this case is going to move forward, and I am going to be the law here. Juries give the verdict, but he's in charge of the law in this forum. And that is also really important for this trial to proceed.
Do you think the jail threat is just a threat, or could he actually send him to jail?
So my own opinion is that he could send him to jail, but he's not likely to do it until after the case is over. I think he can have that over the defendant's head. It will be a deterrent, and he can still do it afterwards. That's where he has the most leverage, because, he doesn't want to have the interruption of the defendant leaving, taking an appeal. So again, he's really sending a message, you better behave or else. And I don't think it's just an idle threat.
Well, speaking of the interruption, Trump has also been slamming his own lawyers. He's now complaining they're not following his instructions. That's awfully tough to deal with as an attorney. We know it took him a long time to find an attorney who was willing to represent him in these multitude of cases here. And could this potentially reset the clock on this trial if he fires an attorney midstream?
So I don't think the judge will let him fire him if it's just because of his own personal pique or because he wants a delay. It is an attorney's worst nightmare, and often those disagreements happen not out in front of the public, and an attorney would seek to withdraw. But the court, again, the judge is really focused on keeping this moving. My own guess is that this defendant always likes to lay the foundation to blame someone if things don't turn out the way he wants, and he could be doing that here. In other words, it's not going to be my fault if this case doesn't go the way I want to. So that's something to be watched going forward. What the judge does, what the lawyer is willing to put up with here. It is an awfully tricky spot for that defense lawyer to be in.